This show is brought to you by NMDC Group.
ADNOC Distribution Q3 net profit rises 9% and world markets sink after a hawkish message from the Fed. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Faraj. ADNOC Distribution saw a 9% year-on-year rise in Q3 attributable net profit to $227 million on higher fuel sales and contributions from global operations. The net profit beat analyst estimates of $182.55 million. Revenue for the quarter was $2.43 billion versus $2.33 billion in the year-ago period. In Q3, the company's fuel sales rose 21% to over 2 million liters. Officials say the results mark one of the strongest quarterly performances since the company's IPO in 2017. Jordan and the IMF have agreed on a new 4-year loan program of $1.2 billion to help it cope with financial challenges, including the Israel-Hamas conflict. The new extended fund facility will replace the existing arrangement for the same amount as it nears expiration early next year. The new program will focus on continuing fiscal consolidation to control public debt, safeguarding monetary stability, and accelerating structural reforms. The IMF predicts Jordan's 2023 economic growth at 2.6%, influenced by the Israel-Hamas conflict. Oil prices are set to fall for a third consecutive week as concerns of supply disruptions from the conflict have faded. Brent crude futures for January were flat at $80 a barrel this morning, while West Texas futures for December are at $75. Brent futures are down 5.7% this week, while WTI has declined 5.9% since last week. The 3 weeks of declines are the longest weekly losing streak for both contracts since a 4-week drop from April to May. Asian markets sank today after Federal Reserve boss Jerome Powell warned he will not hesitate to hike interest rates further to rein in inflation. Asia mirrored U.S. stocks, which also closed lower overnight, snapping the longest winning streaks for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 in 2 years. Powell hinted at another rate hike, saying central bank officials are not confident interest rates are high enough to tame inflation. The Dow fell 0.65%, the S&P lost 0.81%, and the Nasdaq dropped 0.94%. And those losses are reflected in today's Forbes Real-Time Billionaires ranking, which tracks the daily wins and losses of the world's wealthiest people, with our biggest loser today, Elon Musk. He's down $8.7 billion overnight after Tesla stock dropped over 8%. Our second biggest loser is SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son. After SoftBank reported Q3 losses, he's down $1.5 billion, now with a net wealth of $21.2 billion. Our third place loser is Jeff Bezos, down $1.5 billion with a net wealth of $163.3 billion. Check out our website and our social media for all of the latest billionaires news. The U.S. banking sector is not yet secure, with reinflation a risk if banks fail to sufficiently predict rate moves. That's according to Moody's. Moody's downgraded 10 U.S. banks this year and put 6 bank giants on review for downgrades. Moody's says the outlook is still negative, with reinflation a risk, especially if banks don't correctly anticipate interest rate moves and adjust their portfolios appropriately. Moody's says some banks are proactive in selling securities with some losses to capital, just to position themselves better. And international flight bookings have fallen since the onset of the Israel-Hamas conflict as people cancel trips to the Middle East and around the world, according to Forward Keys. International flight bookings from the Americas dropped 10% in the 3 weeks after October 7th, compared to 3 weeks before the attack. People in the Middle East have also been traveling less, with tickets issued falling 9% in the same period. Travel to the Middle East plummeted 26% in the 3 weeks following the attack. I'm Ramia Faraj. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
This show is brought to you by NMDC Group.